It's time for me to share February's pile of possibilities. What am I planning to read this month? Let's find out. Hello book friends, I'm Jen and welcome to my reading life and welcome to my February pile of possibilities, TBR, whatever you would like to call it. I'm going to share some books with you today that I have pulled off of my shelves, either for my different reading challenges, for buddy reads, for group reads, all that good stuff. And then I thought we'd do something a little different this month, and I'm going to bring you along with me and we are going to shop my own unread bookshelves. I thought we'd take a look, and I'm going to pull maybe 3 or 4 additional books that, I don't know, just sound like something I might want to read in February. So we'll take a look at what I've got there, and at the end of the video, we'll pull a few of those books off the shelves. So you can get a closer look at some of my unread shelves and see what else I decide to pick out. But let us just get started with the books I've already selected to go onto my pile of possibilities for February. And I thought I would start off first with the books that are going to fulfill the reading goals that I have for this year. Obviously, my main goal is to read my unread shelves. That is my main goal for 2025, as I have shared many times since the announcement video went up. So, of course, I am doing my best to read as many books that have been on my shelves since prior to January 1st of this year. That is the number one priority. Within those parameters, I also picked 25 books to be part of my 25 in 2025 project, where these books have all been on my shelves since before 2019, and I'm going to either read them or unhaul them this year, or maybe both, depending on whether I like the book or not. And so I have 2 books that I pulled from my 25 and 2025 books, which are all on the top shelf of my rotating bookshelf right here behind me. And the first book that I pulled off to read in February is Off Balance by Mary Sheepshanks. My mom gave this book to me, I can't even tell you how many years ago, many years ago to read. She really enjoyed it. And I believe it's about a woman, Isabel Grant. She's married, she has kids, and everything's just sort of humming along. And then the arrival of 2 newcomers upset everything. So it sounds like Isabel's divorced sister and then a painter that her husband hired to paint. They have a theater, the theater's backdrops, and it sounds like they're going to upset the equilibrium of the household. So we're going to find out what happens. So it sounds like maybe a bit of family drama, maybe there's some romance, relationships. I don't know. Sounds like it might be a good read for February. So I pulled this one off. And then the second book that I pulled off is actually going to fulfill another sort of prompt challenge that I have for myself every month. And that book is Clooney Brown by Marjorie Sharp. Not only is this part of my 25 and 2025 challenge, I also have a copy of this book on my Kindle. And my goal is to read at least 1 Kindle book a month. And so I'm going to have Clooney Brown fulfill both of those requirements for February. I'm very excited to read this one. It sounds just lovely, and Clooney sounds like quite the eccentric character, and I love that. So yes, sounds like it'll be a fun ride to go on. And I've read one other Marjorie Sharp book, Four Gardens, and I really enjoyed that one, and I'm hoping to read more by her as well this year and in coming years. But Clooney Brown has been on my shelf for a while, and so this is going to be the month for it. And as I mentioned, I have a goal to read 1 Kindle book every month, and I also have a few other goals that I've incorporated into my Read My Shelves challenge. One is to read a mystery novel every month. One is to read a nonfiction book every month. One is to read a classic book every month. And for those, I have chosen, first up, I have chosen for a mystery that I'm going to read this month. I'm going to read A Poem for Mrs. Polifax by Dorothy Gilman. I want to read through the rest of the Mrs. Polifax series, and this is the next one I have to read. This is book 4 in the series, and let's see, in this one, Mr. Carstairs is sent her to Switzerland. So she's supposed to track down a missing package of plutonium. I'm sure not everything's going to go as planned, because that's usually what happens with Mrs. Polifax, but I'm excited to find out what kind of adventures she gets up to in this entry in the series. So excited for that. And my nonfiction pick for February is Enchantment by Catherine May. This is Awakening Wonder in an Anxious Age. And I received this book for Christmas and I really enjoyed wintering. And so I'm very much looking forward to diving into Enchantment. It feels like just the book that I need for February. And then for my classic book, of course, I mentioned this when I did my unboxing of the Small Home Comforts Winter book box, but the book that came in the box was The Scarlet Pimpernel by Baroness Amuska Orczy. I have such a hard time with her name. Baroness Amuska Orczy. And I had said then that I was going to read this in February, and so here it is. Look at that on my TBR. This is going to be my classic novel for the month, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Sounds like romance and adventure and all kinds of escapades, and I'm looking forward to this. If anyone wants to read this along with me, let me know in the comments down below. We can do kind of a little impromptu, very laid back kind of buddy read of this. And then, of course, as I shared in a recent video, I am reading through the remaining Agatha Christie books that I have on my unread shelf. And for February, I am reading Mrs. McGinty's Dead. And this is another Poirot. It says, Mrs. McGinty died from a brutal blow to the back of her head. Suspicion falls immediately on her shifty lodger, James Bentley, whose clothes revealed traces of the victim's blood and hair. Yet something is amiss. Bentley just doesn't seem like a murderer. Could the answer lie in an article clipped from a newspaper 2 days before her death? With the desperate killer still free, Hercule Poirot will have to stay alive long enough to find out. So this is the next one I'm reading, the books I have left in publication order. And so this one is a next step in the queue. Always ready for an Agatha Christie book. Then next up are 3 books that I am reading for either group reads, read-alongs, buddy reads, all that good stuff. First up, of course, is The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, Volume 2 by Beth Brower. This is for my Emma M. Lyon read-along. We are reading Volume 2 this month, and anyone is welcome to join. You can join the Discord group, which is in the link in the description box below. And we are having discussions of that on Discord, and I will also be having a live video coming at the end of the month to do a wrap-up of Volume 2. I really enjoyed my reread of Volume 1, and I am equally looking forward to rereading Volume 2. I really had to stop myself from picking this up as soon as I finished Volume 1 in January, but I'm waiting until after February 1st to dive into this one. But I love Emma, and it's fun to go back and see her at the beginning of the series, knowing what I know comes in the later volumes. So that's been really enjoyable. And then next up is a middle grade book that I'm going to be buddy reading with a friend on Instagram, and that is Cheaper by the Dozen. This is written by Frank B. Gilbreth Jr. and Ernestine Gilbreth Carey, and I have heard nothing but good things about this book, and Beth at Small Home Comforts recommended this to me, and I cannot wait to dive in, and I'm looking forward to buddy reading it because it'll be fun to talk about it with somebody. So this is my middle grade for the month. And then next up is the book we picked for our Gilded Age buddy group read for this month, and we are going to be reading The Glimpses of the Moon by Edith Wharton. And my friend Melissa, who's in the group, said that this has a bit of a lighter tone than some of Edith Wharton's other books. It sounds a bit like a comedy of errors. There are 2 people who decide to kind of have a marriage of convenience so that they can get money from their relatives and kind of sponge living off of them and traveling around on their honeymoon, I think maybe in Europe. And then they also have a caveat that if one of them meets someone else, they can dissolve the marriage. But I have a feeling maybe that's not going to go exactly to plan, but we'll see what happens. So I'm looking forward to reading this one, which sounds a bit maybe lighter and frothier than some of Edith Wharton's other books, which can have quite heavy themes. So very much excited to get to that one. Hello friends, this is Editing Jen here, and I just realized that somehow I missed talking about the Cozy Reader Book Club selection for February. And for February, we are reading A Company of Swans by Eva Ibbotson, and this is a book about ballet. I think that's fairly evident from the photo on the cover. So this is about Harriet Morton, and she's always lived under the strict rule of her widowed father and miserly aunt. And when she's offered the opportunity to dance with the corps de ballet on a tour of the Amazon, she steals away on a boat bound for Manos? I'm not sure how to say that. Anyway, it sounds like we're gonna find out what happens when she goes off on this ballet tour. And I'm very excited to read this. I've heard wonderful things about it, and I can't believe I forgot to put it in my stack. It was just with all my Cozy Reader Book Club books and I forgot to grab it. So had to insert that here because can't miss out if you want to join in the Cozy Reader Book Club. We meet on the third Saturday of the month. We discuss over Google Meet. You can send me an email and I will get you added to our mailing list. And now back to the rest of the books. Now, my last two books that I've already pre-selected are books that have recently come into my possession, and one of my goals for 2025 is if I purchase a book or have a book come to me that is new, however it comes into my possession, that I read that book within the month that I've received it. Now, I had a book that I received for Christmas that I received 2 copies of. And so I went to Barnes & Noble last week and I exchanged one of the copies for another book. And the book I exchanged it for is Olive Kittredge by Elizabeth Strout. I've only read one other Elizabeth Strout novel. I read, what is it? Anything is Possible? Everything is Possible? Anything is Possible. So I read I think I read Anything is Possible. Or was it My Name is Lucy Barton? Whatever the first one is in her other series, I have read that book. I very much enjoyed it. And I've been wanting to read more of her work and I just haven't. And my local Barnes & Noble didn't have the second book in the other series, so I decided to get Olive Kittredge. She actually won the Pulitzer Prize for this book and I have heard wonderful things about it. And so I have added this to my February pile of possibilities. And then this next book is actually one the author reached out to me and asked if I would like to receive a copy of the book in exchange for my review of it. And the book sounded interesting. It is a middle grade book. And so I wanted to read it in preparation for middle grade March. So I've put it onto my February TBR. And the book is From the Desk of Lizzie Lazowski by Melody J. Bremen. And this is an epistolary novel. It's written in emails, I think text messages, so, sort of a modern epistolary novel. And in this, 8th grader Lizzie Lazowski receives a pen pal assignment. She puts her letter into a bottle and throws it into the ocean. A few days later, she receives an anonymous response in her mailbox. She continues to write to her mystery pen pal, answering prompts like, what's your favorite food? Milkshakes. And who is your best friend? She doesn't have one at the moment. Through her letter, she tells about her biggest dream, to secure a spot at Northcrest High School for the Arts. If she submits a creative project, a true story about one person, she can win a scholarship. And Chloe, the new girl at school, just might be the one to help her complete the project and maybe even fill the best friend role. As the deadline for the scholarship draws near, her project flops and her budding friendship goes horribly wrong. All she has is the help of a mystery pen pal to put her life back on track. That sounds lovely, so I'm very much looking forward to this. So thank you to Melody J. Bremen for sending me this copy, and I will let you guys know what I think in my February wrap-up. That is all for the books that I have already pre-selected, but I am going to flip my camera around and we are going to take a look. I have this bookshelf here, and I have a bookshelf on the other side of the room. We'll take a little look-see, do a little perusing, a little shopping of my unread shelves, and let's try to find a few more books to add to that pile of possibilities, see what we come up with. So let us go shop my shelves. Okay, so this is the top shelf of my bookcase, and it has all of my Dean Street Press. Well, it's got some annotated Jane Austen novels, then all my Dean Street Press, all my Persephone books, and all my Manderley Press books on here. So these are both unread and read books, but I'm thinking I want to read a Persephone this month because I haven't read one in a while, and I really want to read more Persephone books that I have on my shelf. I'm thinking I'm gonna read one afternoon. And yes, Miranda Mills compared this to Rosamund Pilcher, and that sounds really lovely. So I think I'm gonna add that one. I could potentially read the first Her Royal Spyness novel. That's a possibility. What else? These books are all my favorite read books, so we'll skip that shelf. And then we'll go down to here. Anything on here jumping out at me? Not really for February. Do I want like historical fiction? Do I want something sort of lighter? I don't read much like romance or anything like that. I think I have maybe a few things. Let's move over to my other bookshelf. Actually, you know what I am kind of in the mood for? Is one of the Antoine Lorraine books. Maybe I'll do this vintage 1954. I think it's, these people drink from this 1954 bottle of wine and then they get transported from 2017 back to 1954. And yeah, that sounds fun. Okay, I'm gonna add that one. And then what else have I got? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna pull this book. If I can grab it. There we go. Okay, The Tea House on Mulberry Street. I think I bought this on the clearance cart at Half Price Books ages and ages ago. And well, it says it's in the style of Maeve Binchy's Quentin's. Okay, well, that sounds lovely. Okay, I've had this forever. I really would like to either read it or unhaul it, so that's going on the pile. And then, is there anything else? You know, maybe possibly The Demon in the House. This is the next Angela Circle novel that I need to read. Yeah. Yes. Okay, I think this one. All right. I think I've picked the 4 I want to read. Shopped my shelves and came up with 4 more books. First is One Afternoon by Sean James. I'm not sure if that's Sean or it's pronounced something else. I don't really know anything about this book. It's not very long. This Persephone edition is 220 pages, but Miranda Mills did compare it to a Rosamund Pilcher novel, and that sounds wonderful. We'll see what I think. And then next I picked Vintage 1954 by Antoine Lorraine. I absolutely love The Red Notebook by Antoine Lorraine. And then I read another one of his last year, which I didn't love quite as much, but was still a fun read. The Portrait? I think it was The Portrait that I read. But I'm very much looking forward to Vintage 1954, a bit of like time travel sort of. So that sounds kind of fun. There's always something a little bit, I don't want to say magical realism, but something a little bit different about his books, and I really enjoy that. So looking forward to that one. And then I have The Tea House on Mulberry Street by Sharon Owens. Again, I've had this for so long. It says Muldoon's Tea Rooms, beloved for the cozy atmosphere and luscious desserts, has started looking a bit outdated, and the same can be said about the proprietors, Penny and Daniel Stanley. After 17 years, their marriage has started to fade and wear a little thin, even as their old shop bustles with the energy of the customers who seek refuge from their particular dilemmas. Behind the cherry cheesecakes, vanilla ice creams, and chocolate cappuccinos are the stirrings of a revolution that will redefine lives, heal troubled hearts, and rock the very foundation of the humble tea house. And through it all, Penny and Daniel manage to discover what truly matters in life and love. Rich with wit, bursting with charm, The Tea House on Mulberry Street is a vibrant debut novel full of tenderness, imagination, and delicious pastries. Okay, well, we will see what I think of this one. Again, I've had this for so long. I don't know why I've never tried reading it. This is the month. And then finally, I picked The Demon in the House by Angela Thirkle. This is the next in her Barsetshire Chronicles. And let's see. In this one, we're going to follow Tony Moreland, who is Laura Moreland's son. Laura Moreland, our main character in High Rising. He's an irresistibly maddening 12-year-old, whether shelling peas in the bath, coaxing a snack of bread and dripping from the formidable housekeeper, or worrying his mother with his bicycling exploits. Tony is a charming, utterly infuriating creature to the adults who at once adore and despair of him. Okay, well, that sounds like it might be kind of fun. All right, so that is my last pick from shopping my bookshelves. I don't know if I'm going to shop my bookshelves every month, but I just thought it would be really fun to kind of incorporate this year when I'm doing my TBRs / piles of possibilities for each month, just to give you all the opportunity to have a closer look at my shelves. And certainly if you saw anything on my shelves that you think, oh, Jen, you really need to read that this year, please leave that down in the comments, because I would love to know what books on my shelves you all think that I would really love. And I will definitely make a list of those and make those a priority for this year. And that is it for my February TBR / pile of possibilities. I'd love to chat with you all in the comments. Have you read any of the books that I picked for this month? Are there any that are on your TBR as well? And let me know if you want to read along with the Scarlet Pimpernel, because I'd love to have a little relaxed read along of that if anyone else is interested. But if you don't have anything that you'd like to add in the comments, but you'd like to let me know that you were here, why don't you leave a little heart emoji in honor of Valentine's Day this month? And comments really do help my channel. So by leaving those emojis, even if you don't have anything else you want to add, really does help. And I so appreciate knowing that you watched the video and that you made it this far. And if you did enjoy this video, if you could hit that like button and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. I would love to have you join my bookish community, and I'll be back with another video very soon. Bye!